Okay, so this is A Picture is Worth 1,000 Words. Remember, in our book, down here it'll tell you which module page number, or which module, so we're in module 1, and then page 7, and this is lesson 1, A Picture is Worth 1,000 Words. So that's how you know what page you're on, or what page you're supposed to be on. So again, learning goals, you can find them here. The biggest one I think we're working on is identifying independent and dependent quantities, and then match a graph with an appropriate scenario. We will be doing the other ones, but those are the two big ones that we're doing. Okay, so we're going to start with the getting started. So it says, have you ever planned a party? You may have purchased ice, gone grocery shopping, selected music, made food. And I don't like reading all of the page, so if you want to read it, you can. But so it says, consider the two quantities that are changing in each relationship. On the side of your workbook will always have important pieces of information. So when one quantity depends on another in a problem situation, it's said to be the dependent. So when something depends on another, it's the dependent quantity. The quantity it depends on is called the independent. So this one's called the independent. So consider the first one, the number of movie tickets purchased and the total cost. Notice down here it tells you what we're going to be doing. So we're going to circle the independent quantity and underline the dependent. So I believe you saw this in the About Me video. I am dyslexic, so I like to color code everything. So I highlighted the dependent over here in pink. So I'm going to use pink to underline. And then I used green over here. So I'm going to use green. Let me find my lime green pen. There we go. To circle. Okay, so when we look at this, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. So circle the independent quantity. So we're going to look, I always think it's easier to find the dependent first because it's the one that depends on the other. So if the number of movie tickets purchased and the total cost. So is it the movie tickets depend on the cost, or is it the cost depend on the movie tickets? So definitely the cost depends on the other one. Okay, so then if that's the dependent, and I'm going to still write a D here just so that we can see. I don't know you guys very well yet, so I don't know if anyone is colorblind. We do have two different things that we're doing, but still. Okay, then the number of movie tickets is independent. I can buy one movie ticket or I could buy 500 movie tickets. It's independent, and then the cost depends on if I bought one or if I bought 500. Okay, so then the next one, the number of eggs used and the number of cakes baked. So is it the number of eggs depends on the number of cakes that we baked, or is it the number of cakes baked depends on how many eggs? So notice it says the number of eggs used and the number of cakes baked. So if you look at that, the number of eggs depends on how many cakes we baked. Okay, the next one, the number of students in attendance at school and the number of lunches served. So are the number of students in attendance going to depend on how many lunches they made, or is it the other way? The number of lunches served will depend on how many students are at school today. So that definitely is the correct one. Okay, and sorry, you can probably hear my son in the background doing his schoolwork. That's that noise that you're hearing in the background. Okay, Then we have the number of hours driven and the number of miles to a vacation destination. So is it how long it takes to drive depends on the miles driven, or is it the miles depend on how long we drove? So it's definitely the number of hours I drive will go up the longer it is to my vacation spot. Oops, I underlined that's supposed to be circled. So definitely if I was wanting to go to San Diego, I can't change the number of miles to my destination, but the number of hours driven will depend on how far away my vacation is. Okay, then the last one, the number of minutes at a swimming pool is filled with water, and the number of gallons of water in the swimming pool. So this one's a little funny sounding. So as I'm filling a pool, does the time or the number of minutes it took to fill depend on the number of gallons we needed, or is it the number of gallons we needed depended on the time? So sometimes you have to reword it in your mind to get it to make a little bit more sense. So it's definitely the number of gallons. Oh, nope, see, and then I read that wrong because I'm looking at the description. So I read that wrong. The number of minutes a swimming pool is filled with water and the number of gallons of water in the swimming pool. So it's not talking about how long it takes to fill the pool, which is how I reworded it. So, sorry, we all make mistakes. But so it's how long is it filling? So it could be a really, really, really big pool, like an Olympic pool. And we know that the number of gallons depends on how long it's been. So the number of gallons of water in the swimming pool depends on how long I've been filling it. So if it's only been 1 second, maybe it's only 1 gallon filled. But the longer I fill it, definitely the more gallons that are in the pool. Sorry, I messed that up. But okay, and then it says describe how you determined which quantity. So that you can write something there if you want, but we talked about it, or I talked about it. I guess you didn't really talk back with me because this is a pre-recorded video. But so that's how you remember independent and dependent. So this is part 1 of the video. Once you have finished this part of the video, I want you to stop the video, or don't start part 2 until you have cut out all of the cards. So on M117, you're going to see these cards. Now, if you don't have scissors, you could just keep looking at them and reading the scenarios. So what you're going to end up doing, and like I said, I don't like reading all this stuff. I'm just going to tell you. So on these scenarios, so like we have Daredevil, you're going to read the scenario, and then you're going to look at all of these graphs and see which one makes the most sense. I would definitely not glue them in, so if you do cut them out, don't glue or tape them in yet. Maybe just set it next to it or write it down or something. You do not want to glue it in and then find that you made a mistake. Some of them are a little tricky. So Daredevil, or if you don't have scissors, you can just draw a sketch of the graph. And a sketch is just a rough estimate. So like this one, I could just put the y-axis, the x-axis, and then have it start like that. It doesn't have to be exact, okay? So that's what you're going to do. Either cut these out or match them. And that's all I need you to do before you watch part 2. You don't have to do the independent and dependent or labeling the x and y axis. So you're just going to cut them out and then set them next to these. And I'll make sure in the next video in part 2, I'll make sure that you have the correct graphs. Okay.